This is the second video for our KLN89 Bravo TSO. What I'm going to cover in this video is the exact procedures you need to do for your check ride at North Las Vegas Victor Golf Tango to fly the GPS runway 12 right, as well as the ILS and localizer 12 left. In the previous video we discussed all the functions of the GPS, or not all, but the major functions of the GPS. So if you haven't watched that one, please watch that one first, and then this is the one you want to watch about 10 times and memorize the very few functions that you have to do. So when the GPS starts up, the first thing you need to do as it finishes the self-test is just hit OK. And then here's where you are, VGT, where we're located, our time and UTC is all correct. We're going to hit OK again. The database is current. Check to make sure it's current. Acknowledge. OK. And now as the GPS pops up into the nav mode, the very first thing you want to do is you're going to take the outer knob and you're going to roll this cursor to airport. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the inner knob and you're going to change to airport page 8. You'll notice this is the only time during your operation that you will use the inner knob. The outer knob always moves the cursor, the inner knob changes the page. One click counterclockwise to airport page 8. And you'll notice the 2 GPS approaches loaded. We're only going to do the GPS 12 right. We'll hit cursor, and you'll see that it selects that, and then now I'll just hit enter. It asks me if I want to load that in the flight plan 0, which is our current flight plan. Enter. Now you'll notice that we're on the flight plan page. And then right here on the flight plan page, you have all the points in flight plan 0 to include the GPS approach. So if we hit now cursor, okay, and take the outer knob and roll the cursor, we'll look through them. Here's the initial approach fix, SAYQOi. The next approach point, Amui, Kimi, Anaki. The final approach fix, the missed approach point. And then the fix that is used for the missed approach, which is the LAS VORTAC. And then the last one, or then we have Victor Golf Tango, the airport, and then the last one, that's the location of the localizer for the ILS approach. So these are the only points that you will use on your check ride. So every one of them is located here in flight plan 0. So what you're going to do next is you just roll cursor, go to SAYQOi, direct, enter. Now you notice SAYQOi is entered. Now to prevent it from auto cycling points as we're doing our maneuvers in the area, and prior to actually starting the approach, we're going to hit the OBS omni bearing steering button right here, and then that'll put it into a suspend mode, and then just hit cursor. Now it will stay SAYQOi. On your HSI, if we have the annunciator hit to GPS, the HSI treats this point as a VORTAC or TACAN. So you'll fly it just like that. So as you're flying to that point, as you're in the area, and then the examiner tells you to take him direct SAYQOi for the approach or for a hold, what you'll do is you'll just roll this. Look here, that's your bearing pointer 293. So that's going to be your initial heading. Once you're turned in that direction, you can refine it by rolling that, center it, fly that course direct to SAYQOi. As you approach SAYQOi and it gives you a hold, like let's say they say hold southeast of SAYQOi on the 159 radial, right hand turns. You know you're inbound. Once you're direct, you figure out that, hey, this is my, heading direct to SAYQOi. I'm going to bug that, and then if I want to, I'm going to bug my, or I'm going to roll my inbound course of my hold. Right? There's a drawn line of your inbound course of your hold now. Now as you look at that, it's very obvious, looking at your airplane and looking at that, it's very obvious, how you're going to enter the hold. Like say for example, 160 was taking us direct, and that's my hold, inbound course, then I would do a parallel outbound. Okay, then once you start inbound to SAYQOi, to start the approach, what you need to do is hit OBS. Now it will auto sequence. You're going to bug your next turn. So for example, if I was inbound SAYQOi, my next turn on the approach is 060. So then I'll look at that, and as it is right now, I have about a 90-degree turn, so I'm going to lead turn that by about 0.7 to 0.8. And then as soon as I start my turn, I'm going to roll my course. And then I bug my next heading, which is 150. And I'm going to lead turn that by about 0.7. Turn it, roll it, and then bug my next one, which is 135. Okay, you're going to fly that approach all the way down to the distance says 0.0, and that's the missed approach point. If you need to use the missed approach fix, at that point, you would just, it won't auto cycle, you just hit direct enter and it'll say LAS. Now, after you finish this approach, on climb out, your next approaches are going to be all off the ILS 1-2 left. So, if you want to program this for backup to your DME, here's your primary DME. This is your backup to the DME. Okay, you can program the localizer for distance, and that'll also give you a good ground speed reference and a track reference for flying that approach. The first thing you want to do anytime you're changing the mode of the approach you're doing, come over here and now put it back in nav mode. So now this is running off nav 1 radio, which has the localizer set. Now all you have to do is roll this to flight plan, cursor, and this is all outer knob. Remember, we're only using the inner knob once. And I'm going to roll this down to destination 9, IHWG, direct enter. And it's set. This is the last point in the flight plan, so you don't have to worry about, hitting OBS. You can if you want to hit OBS, and then you can dial in the inbound course as a reference. However, that is a reference only. And you would just hit cursor, turn the cursor off. That is a reference only. You cannot primarily navigate off that on the ILS approach or the localizer approach. That is the only functions that you have to do when you start up the GPS. So, a quick review, because it only takes about 15 seconds to do this. The GPS starts, it's in this mode. You roll to airport. For the first flight, when you start up the engines, airport, page 8, cursor, GPS 1-2 right, enter, add to flight plan, enter, there it is, cursor, roll to SAYQOi, direct, enter, OBS, GPS mode, you're done.